going to hold that inside. We've seen John. Oh no, he's got the inside. It's on the crest there. Unbelievable. He's forced his way through. Still there. Fantastic work from John.
And another quick start from Harley Lewis. Wow, Scott McIntyre is insanely quick off the line. The Canadian now already into the second position. Perez is through. Perez is through. Past Nayon here on the final lap. Brilliant pressure there by Gabriel Perez.
Jonathan Hernandez is going to have it. Tries to cut back. What a move on the exit of Rivage. Great jump there from Hernandez.
Oh, here's Jerome Haas for the lead at Indianapolis. Straight pass on Ronnie Nunez. They're going to head towards Arnauge.
Who's going to win it? At the moment it looks like Don, but here we are. Asinio Kono towards the line. He cannot get there. Don wins the motor race.
A massive big crash in front of the leaders. Peacock slows down, and oh man, he was almost tagged.
But the move around the outside may be impossible. But anything's possible in this world as Amadeva finds their way past.
And the two is out of gas. Andre Cini, I believe, and he has taken second place.
Are you kidding me?
Was that over aggressive downshift? Let's have a look. Oh, goodness.
Oh, look at that slide from Haag there.
Teammates and big contact there from Akbar Lotus.
In the third.
Oh, Cini.
He's going to go to the outside. Hard. Got it.
And that's for P number 7. No way, McIntyre with the crossover in fact.
The battle for P4. Taylor and Montero. Oh, find him around the outside. Lena. Oh, someone's coming on. May have made a mistake. He has. Fabio Ioki is through.
Making that move stick. Push Saunders wide there. Saunders into the gravel.
To turn number 1, into the run towards turn 2 and 3. The 9 right back up the inside. And they make it 6.
1 lap to go. The draft, it's going to come into play down the inside of Coates. Oh, they almost take each other out, but going way off track is Jarvis.
It's a friendly, helpful community, lots of setup options in the forums. It's the kind of series you want to join when you first come to iRacing.
The final championship race of the Pro Mazda car, one that has been part of iRacing since the beginning. Well, this is the final ever week, the final ever official races that are happening here at Road Atlanta. The 4 kilometer, 2.5 mile track has played host to some fantastic races in the past, and it's going to host this tremendous race in just a few minutes. Martin Arnoldus, he is the champion. He's got an insurmountable lead, 1584, Harley Lewis behind, most likely has the number 2 spot all sealed up over Andrea Cini. But nonetheless, this is the final week. I am Dylan Coyle, joined alongside Arjuna Genkipati. And Arjuna, this is an emotional time. That video was made by Martin Arnoldus, who we are going to follow here through his qualifying lap. But just what are your feelings? What are your emotions coming out as this is the final week of this car?
Yeah, you know, it's never good to say goodbye, but Martin Arnoldus running a tribute livery to the brand new PM18. You can see that on the nose cone right there, and it is definitely going to be an emotional one, Dylan. Martin Arnoldus, he's only won this championship once before, come second 6 times, and for someone who spends so much time and invests themselves into this community, really fitting that he's going to get his rewards. And Dylan, I did say we were going to have a surprise today. Surprise is we are going to be joined by Martin on the webcams for this race, wearing the football team. I believe he supports Ajax, and this is going to be really cool. You can watch him, throughout this race, and celebrating what is definitely, these broadcasts are basically a labor of his efforts. So really good to be able to celebrate his championship.
Well, he doesn't see. Can he hear us? I'm not sure.
No. Fortunately, he can't hear us. He's on a qualifying lap now, so let's not go ahead and disturb him.
Okay, so, well, thank you. This is a surprise, a welcome one, I shall say. Lovely to get Martin with his fantastic Red Bull Racing background. Green screen is not working out with the headset, but we don't mind it. This is awesome. Talk about professional right here on RaceSpotTV. Anyway, he is still on a flying lap right now, sat in P3 with a 1:17.059. Ali Peacock in the lead as of now. He's the only driver to have a sub 117, but John McCutcheon is at a 1:17.047, and Martin Arnoldus decides that he's not going to go for another lap there. Wasn't happy with it, so preliminarily, is that a word? Preliminarily, starting in P3. A few other cars still on track have yet to actually finish their laps. John McCutcheon is still going the last corner, though, and over this oddly placed line, he does improve. Onto the pole he goes with a 1:16.86.
Yeah, great lap there from a relative newcomer to the series, Dylan. Good to see him here. Unfortunately, the last week, the only chance we're going to get to see him. I'm going to switch over here to Cameron Dance, who's also another really well-respected road racer coming into this final ever Pro Mazda race. He's currently sitting in the 5th position, 0.3 of a second off. But I wanted to highlight something here, Dylan. Ollie Peacock, he missed out on that last race that we had from Silverstone, but he's recently launched his own website. I believe it's called T23 Engineering or something. I'll try and get that and plug it a little bit better later, but Ollie is a real-life race engineer, works with some of the IMSA teams, so if you're looking for some coaching, maybe consider that car. Currently qualified second with 90 seconds left in this qualifying session.
Well, it's never a bad idea to get advice from someone like Ali Peacock, one of the more successful drivers in the history of Pro Mazda. And, it's funny, we were talking at the beginning of this broadcasted half of the season about how Martin Arnoldus was always finishing in second place, which he still has 6 second-place finishes over the history of this car, but he's ending it with a bang in first place. And I feel like once you said that, Arjuna, on our first broadcast, you know that it just egged him on.
Yeah, well, it's really good that, maybe he didn't have the championship battle with Jerome Haag, driver for Devotion Sim Racing, who, when we came in, Dylan, Jerome was actually leading the championship. Got crashed out of that Mosport race, and we haven't seen him since then. Jerome, I believe, still in the top 10, but just on the edge. But what that meant is Martin really just had to stay clean and consistent, and we've seen that other than the one blemish at the Nordschleife, which I know if Martin could go back in time, he would love to get back. He loves that track, but today it's all about Road Atlanta. It's going to be a really fun challenge, all about who's going to be able to use that draft down into the chicane, and let's see how it goes. We've got 20 seconds left in the qualifying session, so I think the grid order just about set.
Yeah, David Jarvis is finishing up his final flying lap around the turn 10A, 10B section. I don't think he enjoyed it, so he stopped, and we're just about ready to show you the grid for the not final ever broadcasted race of Pro Mazda. We'll get to that in just a bit, but your starting grid at Road Atlanta. Starting on the pole, it's John McCutcheon, and with Harley Lewis alongside him, Ollie Peacock and Angus Waddle finishes out your top 2 rows.
Then you got Martin Alnordis, he lines up in 5th. Next to him is going to be Cameron Dance, driver from Australia. Then you got David Jarvis and Severi Seppa completing the 4th row of the grid.
In 9th, Fabio Berchhold. With 10th, Jean-Michael Nguyen. Outside the top 10, it's Gabriel Montanez and Gabriel Perez. Both of them starting in 11th and 12th.
Yeah, then we go back to some more of our regulars in this series. Andrea Chini, Uldis Pateklis, and Anne Medema all further back in your field than I think they'd like to be. Then you got Carl Crowley lining up in 16th place.
We've got a big field here today. Javier Horta in 17th, Scott McIntyre 18th, Ross Addy in 19th, and Brenton Parker in 20th. And I'll just say the final 2 names here, or 3 names, Pascal Filato, Bob Kern, and Michael Prudhomme in 23rd, a second and a half off the pace. You know, this music, it feels epic. This race, it's going to be epic. We are talking about another broadcast race. That'll be a Monday, believe 2200 GMT. We'll get more information public about that once we know for sure. But this is the last one with a top split, top championship level race. And my, oh my, am I excited for this one. It's going to be really hard for some of the drivers who are starting in the back of the field to get some traction going right away because of that downhill right-hand curve that is so unique to this track. And we're getting ready for the start of this race. McCutcheon Sim is on pole in the 16. And we are underway with the green here at Road Atlanta. The final ever week of the Pro Mazda Championship is underway. McCutcheon, a great jump out in turn 1. Right behind him, though, is Ollie Peacock, who jumped past Harley Lewis into P2, going through this dangerous turn 3 section. Everyone's making their way through it pretty fine. 1 even. There's no one going to a side except further back in the field. It's kind of how you have to deal with the S's, as McCutcheon kind of disappeared for a second, but he's back and goes a little bit wide going into turn 6 and 7. A sharp right-hander with a very small straightaway before another right-hand shot, as we see some two-a-wide racing here can be very dangerous at Road Atlanta because some of the turns here are so deceiving when it's able to be passed there. John McCutcheon has to worry about Ollie Peacock's draft because as they go to the chicane section of turn 10A and turn 10B, they go side by side with Peacock having the advantage on the right side. He's not going to have the inside line into 10A. Almost cuts him off there. He actually does, but no contact, and Ollie Peacock is looking to lead the first lap of the final race.
Yeah, and Ollie Peacock running a thank you Pro Mazda decal on that rear wing. It's going to be emotional for a lot of these drivers throughout these 24 laps, but Ollie Peacock straight into the race lead, and Dylan straight away. We see the power of the draft on that back straightaway. Not much that the 16 car could do. That's going to be the story for the rest of the race.
Road Atlanta is unique in that it really only has one spot on the track where the draft can play a huge factor. And it's not like Silverstone where there's a lot of quick, as we have a replay here, Arjuna.
Yeah, there we see 2 cars going off the track in turn 1. It's Gabriel Perez and Jean-Michael Nguyen. So 2 or 3 cars getting caught out, Dylan, and slipping down the order. Gabriel Perez, he's 10 seconds off the leader now. He's still on track. Jean-Michael Nguyen down on the pit lane. So a few cars having issues.
Such a shame, especially with this being the final race, that incidents like that can happen, as Ali Peacock swerving all the way around down the back straight as they head towards that dip complex with the chicane. McCutcheon is too far back, though, to make a lunge into 10A, but look at Harley Lewis, just came out of there very late on the brakes, and it's pretty well-tempered by everybody for the time being.
Yeah, so far pretty clean. No real car-to-car contact other than a few cars maybe going a little bit off track, but we've got a little bit of a train developing here. It's led by number 5 car, Ali Peacock. It appears that his business is called T23 on the side of his car. Dylan Gray, sorry. Yeah, no, T23, that would appear to be correct. And, you know, right now leading this motor race, and so far, I think that further back, it's been fairly single file as well. Martin, I'll notice he's running in 5th position. So a lot of drivers stuck where they are. The one move that we saw, Dylan, was Fabio Berchtold and then David Jarvis that was going around the outside down into turn number 7.
The first half of this circuit, you really cannot make any passes unless you're being extremely, gutsy. However, coming into this long straight heading towards the chicane, it's really the only place you can make a move that's very comfortable. The nice thing is that none of these guys will have to save fuel. Everyone expected that coming into the weekend, but iRacing upped the capacity of the fuel tank and what fuel they're allowed to put in the car, so we're very thankful for that. Hard racing all the way through, as Ali Peacock still holds the lead and will look to lead the 3rd lap of the race, as he has done from the beginning.
Yeah, and we have someone to thank for that. In fact, Dylan, is Brenton Parker, who snuck his way into this race. There are 23 cars on the grid, and Brenton Parker, the 23rd number. So, you know, the last I-rating driver in the field. He's currently running up in 17th. And Brenton, responsible for the scheduling for the Pro Mazda. Another one alongside Martin Alnotis, who's, you know, responsible for keeping this community so vibrant. You know, one of the few communities and niche communities on the iRacing service that manages to, sustain itself through its forum participation almost. And, Brenton able to get that fuel increase, so we get a show here today. But right now, Ali Peacock extending his legs just a little bit. There's been a bit of an issue, though, at the back, Dylan. It's Gabriel Perez. Let's go and take a look.
All right, let's take a look at this with Gabriel Perez. He's in pit lane at the moment and coming around that turn 1 complex into that kink of turn 2 and then turn 3. So dangerous. If you miss it, you kind of have to go through the grass, and it looks like, I'm not sure why he went off there. Maybe there was an issue because he just stopped the car. I'm not sure, Arjuna, if there was any damage on the vehicle. Could you comment on that any bit?
Well, I think, unfortunately for Gabriel Perez, in the background, there's 3 wide action. What is going on there?
Whoa.
Fabio Berchtold to the inside. It's Cameron Dunce on his outside. Martin Olnotis in that PM Tribute livery, looking to the outside to make it 4 wide. What is this, Dylan? This is amazing.
Wow, they all go through there unscathed. That is some aggressive but very mature racing from all of the drivers associated with that. Cameron Dance gets away with quite a bit of separation, but David Jarvis right on the back, or that's Martin Arnoldis right on the back of Fabio Berchtold. That entire group of drivers, well, they are so connected. As Jarvis, it goes to the left of Arnoldis. Arnoldis caught the grass, and you see that face there. He has to watch as Jarvis goes right by him into this turn 6 and 7 complex, but you know that draft is going to be so strong for Arnoldis, as Josh McCutcheon still trying to catch up to Ali Peacock. But this draft for McCutcheon, it might be a little stronger than it's been in previous laps, because he had a good run off of turn 7 into 10A, could have gone for it, decides that there's a lot of race left, so be a little patient and backs off, lets Ali Peacock still take the lead into lap 6, but he'll try to cut down to the inside curbing, and he'll, well, try to make another pass. It's so hard to line up a pass, as you see the top 4 have broken away from the rest of the pack. That's thanks in part to the 3 wide, 4 wide racing happening in the back, however. But I must say, Arjuna, this race has been entertaining from at least the midfield perspective so far.
Yeah, well, that was crazy going down out of the chicane to back towards the start-finish line. And Fabio Berthold with a very bold and opportunistic move. Maybe one of the drivers a little further back getting a poor exit out of the chicane and trying to take advantage. But like you were trying to point out, what we have here is a 4-car breakaway for your lead. It's Ollie Peacock, John McCutcheon, Angus Waddle, and Harley Lewis, the 2 Carbon Racing drivers 3 and 4. Then if we jump all the way back, there's quite a jump. It's about 4 seconds now, Dylan. That's where you get to David Jarvis, Fabio Berthold, Martin Alnotis, Cameron Dance, and then Severi Seppa, Andrea Chini.
Oh boy.
We go all the way back through this field, Dylan. There are some of the biggest Pro Mazda names. It's Fabio Berthold pulling to the outside. He's going to try and get the move done into 10A.
Will he get the move done in 10A? It looks like he's going to be able to. I was paying attention to the battle for the lead because McCutcheon and Peacock were side by side in 10A and 10B. And into turn 1, the draft, it's so strong. But Peacock cuts off McCutcheon from going inside down turn 1. And a big wreck on the front stretch. Who's involved there? We have to find out. It looks like Andrea Chini, Severi Seppa, they're 2 of the guys involved. Martin Arnold is in a big stretch of cars into turn 3 and to the Esses complex. It's mayhem if you're not in the top 4.
Yeah, let's go and take a look at this replay. It was coming through the final corner. It's Andrea Chini, and that's the 11 car, Severi Seppa. They just get a little bit too close. Contact made. Unfortunately, each car drifting onto the opposite side of the track, and fortunately no other cars taken out there, Dylan. But wow, that's close racing, and that's what sometimes happens when you just get a little bit too close.
Looking back at that lead battle, again, Peacock is swerving side to side, but I think McCutcheon's going to make a run down to the inside, almost to the grass. Peacock defending, but the inside position goes to McCutcheon, and he'll take first place away in turn 10A and 10B, and possibly into this last corner, he'll hold the lead. And for the first time in this race, a leader that does not start and end with Ollie Peacock. But look at Harley Lewis trying to make a move. That's Angus Waddle looking down the inside of Ollie Peacock into turn 1, and Peacock trying to force McCutcheon out wide into turn 3. And of course, they have to be very careful. Turn 3 is perhaps the hardest in this entire circuit, and almost going side by side. Peacock wants that lead back right away. Oh man, Ollie Peacock really wants to be the only guy to lead a lap in this race.
Yeah, well, we got an incident further back. Fabio Berthold, Uldis Pateklis. Dylan, we're going to have to take a look at this one. But wow, this battle is just at the lead. It's absolutely crazy. And here comes the replay. Riding with Uldis Pateklis. And there's Fabio Berthold right in front of him. I think it's going to be coming up here towards turn number 2. Let's see exactly what happens. Maybe just again. Oh, Uldis Pateklis just thinking he was clear. And Fabio Berthold coming back on the track. And contact was made again.
That's just a tough one, not knowing you're clear, and that's an awful feeling. Going back to the lead pack battle, Peacock down the inside into 10A, takes the lead away from McCutcheon. I feel like this is going to be a common theme. However, Peacock does not get a great run outside of that turn and into the final curve of the corner. They're so close up to the gearbox out of turn 12 and into turn 1. They're side by side. Peacock is going to have the better run, however, because he has that inside track, but McCutcheon is going to try and take some momentum away into the turn 2, turn 3 complex, and still Peacock is in the lead. And I think if you're Angus Waddle and Harley Lewis, there's not much that you want to do in terms of battling with each other, because if you do that, you're going to completely lose the leaders in this battle. Maybe you just want them to make a mistake and then seize your moment to pounce.
Yeah, 100%. And we have seen that both the Carbon Racing teammates deciding that it's not worth fighting at this point in time. They're very content to just hang back a little bit. And Ollie Peacock once again going for the weave. But Dylan, we've got a great battle up here. You know what we've also got? It's a 3-way fight for 5th. Let's jump back. It's Martin Alnotis. It's a 4-way fight, in fact. Or rather, sorry, no, that's Uldis Pateklis or Gabriel Perez in the background with a little bit of damage, I believe, a lap down. But there you can see Martin Alnotis, he leads from David Jarvis and Cameron Dance. Further in the background, going too wide as well. There's just little groups of cars here, Dylan. They're all separated by a little bit of time.
We've got 3 wide between Russ Addy and Carl Crowley, as well as Javier Horta. And Javier is well, actually, it's going to be Crowley who's the winner there as he gained some spots on everyone. Russ Addy is the big loser, lost 2 spots in that endeavor and is currently sat in 10th. So this track produces some great racing from both the midfield and the top order. And look at this, Angus Waddle is right at this front pack now. Something happened with McCutcheon and Peacock, and they've slowed down considerably. Into turn 6. Will Peacock look at making a move? Decides against it, maybe in the much slower turn 7, but he's not close enough. I'll tell you what though, heading into the chicane, as long as Waddle gets a good run, we could see some 3-wide action because of that double draft that Waddle might be getting as Peacock gains some speed on McCutcheon. He's going to catch him, there's no doubt, pulls to the left side of McCutcheon and into the chicane. What will happen? Look at Waddle. Maybe he was trying to thread the needle and he can't pull it off, and Peacock goes back into first place at the end of lap 10.
Yeah, well, we're not halfway through this one yet, Dylan, and, you know, if I am Angus Waddle, who we ride on board with right now, I'm going to be very content with sitting back here and just waiting till the end of this race when, you know, I can afford to get a little bit more aggressive. They've now got a 7-second advantage to Martin Allnordus in 5th, so, you know, this front pack of 4, they got to just make sure that they don't, you know, get in each other's way, and if they can get to the end in a clean fashion, they all know that a top 4 is guaranteed, and, you know, only one person is going to miss out on a podium out of these 3 potentially, so that's what they've all got to consider.
Well, right now, Harley Lewis is the farthest back, and he's quite considerably compared to how relatively close the rest of this group has been. Angus Waddle did lose a little bit of steam through the first half of this lap, as, you know, the thing about Harley Lewis is he is very hard on the brakes, as is Angus Waddle, so they're not afraid to take some chances. Ali Peacock is such a good defensive driver, and it's really hard to pass him and pass him for good if he is in the lead. This draft is it going to be strong enough? It might be. This is going to be close into the chicane. McCutcheon pulls out to the left side, and Peacock just lets him go by. I think he knows that the quickest way back into the lead is an S-curve and a chicane and possibly the switchback. He gets back into first place and will lead lap 11, but look at how close they are in the gearbox. Pulling out to the left side, it's McCutcheon. Angus Waddle gets off the throttle because he knew it could have led to a harrowing situation, but Peacock gets a little bit loose at a turn 1, almost touching tires with him is McCutcheon, and he'll have to back off. Peacock back in the lead.
Yeah, well, I jumped away expecting that Martin Allnordus and David Jarvis would be a little bit more side by side, but instead Ollie Peacock with a power move out of the chicane, and that's what happened. And John McCutcheon is around, so John McCutcheon has had a little bit of an issue, Dylan, and he's fallen a little bit off the lead pack. No significant damage, it appears, but that's not going to be what the pole position winner would have wanted to see. Yeah,
that is a big issue going on, and we'll catch this replay right now and going around some of the S-curves, and I wonder if he just got a bit too much curbing here into turn 5. It's he spins, and can he save it? So he can. I don't think he has any damage. Maybe just some extra tire wear, but the draft is so important here, Arjuna. If you don't have the draft, you're gonna fall back.
Yeah, and for the pole position winner, he's now 3.2 seconds off your leader, so guess what, Dylan? It's an old blue front 3 right now. It is a little bit weird to see, you know? John McCutcheon really threatening in that red car, swapping with that lead with Ollie Peacock, but now he's going to be in a little bit of an unfortunate situation. The draft about 2 seconds here. He's not close enough right now to get the draft from Harley Lewis, but maybe in a lap or 2 time, if he can just close that gap ever so slightly and close up. But what we should do, Dylan, is we should go back a little further because there is some great battling happening. I think Russ Addy, Javier Horta, and Gabriel Montana's 9th, 10th, 11th. Then you've got further battles, Andrea Chini, Severi Sepra. It's all over the place right now.
All the way back to, God, I'm looking all the way back from Michael Perdomi to Carl Crowley and Ross Addy. They're really are side by side, basically, for some of the mid-pack positions. We're still following along with some of the lead pack. We have Martin Arnoldus here, actually, who is in front of David Jarvis and Cameron Dance. They're all fighting over P5. It could become a battle for P4 if McCutcheon drops back far enough. Jarvis has a big draft, but he's too far back to make a move down into the chicane, so he will just stay in line. Arnoldus is going to remain in 5th for at least this 13th lap, or 12th lap, that is. Ollie Peacock is still in the lead with Angus Waddle behind. Harley Lewis has dropped off a little bit, actually, so he's gonna hope to get back into this lead pack battle. Now, we have all blue cars in front, Arjuna, but if you need some help identifying, well, the guy in front, it's Ollie Peacock, and the guy with pink tires, well, that's Angus Waddle. It's really hard to miss the guy with pink rims, I should say, in terms of Waddle.
Yeah, well, going back to, I believe it was the Nordschleifer race, I misidentified Ollie Peacock as a Carbon Racing driver. Now that livery a little bit different, so it's a little bit clearer to see, but it's easy also to tell the difference here between Angus Waddle and Harley Lewis, Dylan. One of them got the pink rims, the other got the yellow, especially on the mirrors as well. So it's always nice when teams do that for us. Just makes it a little bit easier to identify. But look in the background here, Dylan. John McCutcheon, he's about 2.3 seconds behind Harley Lewis.
But watch out. Angus Waddle making a move down the outside of Peacock, and Peacock says, here you go. I'm going to go back at you coming into turn 12. So sorry to cut you off, Arjuna, but we do have a pass for the lead, and Angus Waddle is going to lead his first lap of this Ollie Peacock-dominated race so far.
Not an issue at all, and Carbon Racing finally leading a lap in this one. And now Harley Lewis, he has fallen off a little bit here, Dylan. Ollie Peacock taking a sneak into the inside of turn number 2. Nothing doing there, but Harley Lewis about 0.7 of a second off. And, you know, if he falls off just a little bit, what that does, Dylan, is it gives John McCutcheon just a little bit of an opportunity, as David Jarvis actually having a few issues further back. So David is about 1.5 seconds off Cameron as well now. Cameron Dunn in 6th place. So a few cars, you know, have had a bit of an issue here, Dylan, and it's all about can they get back up into that draft and can really work their way back into contention for some good positions here.
Well, the other thing we have to remember is that because there are not going to be any mandatory pit stops during this race, there's not much that you can do if you lose the draft. You've just got to hope that the drivers in front make mistakes, and I think we're going to see another look here at the chicane. Peacock swerves to the left real quick. I think he was trying a dummy on Angus Waddle. I'm not sure how likely that's going to be, because from the way that they're driving right now, they're driving very respectfully. And even though it's hard racing, they don't want to be the reason that a guy is not able to finish in this final race. And look at this entire serpent full of drivers exiting the chicane. It's unbelievable how many drivers there are just in line with each other, as we were just following along with David Jarvis, who is at the front of this pack in 7th. Carl Crowley looking to make a move, possibly thinking down the outside, couldn't make it work. And Russ Addy is going to look down the inside into turn 2, and into turn 3. You can't go to a side there. You just stay put into this line. We might see some moves come down the other side, and look back at the first place battle. Angus Waddle gets passed by Peacock into turn 6. That's a dangerous maneuver, but it could earn Peacock some extra time. He didn't get a good jump out of turn 7 though, and we could get 3 wide going down into the chicane, going towards the dip. Waddle pulls out of the draft. Harley Lewis gets a huge run and goes to the inside of Waddle. Will he try to go down the inside of Peacock and take 2 cars in the span of just a few yards, almost side by side? And Ollie Peacock takes the lead again as Harley Lewis decides to back out a bit, but now he has to defend Angus Waddle for that P2 position. Harley Lewis is going to be hard charging into turn 1, Arjuna.
Yeah, Harley Lewis finally starting to slice and dice his way back towards the front. Very content running back and forth, but Dylan, what a train we saw all the way there in 7th. That's all the way back to about 15th position. So, you know, we're not going to really be able to follow that battle too much just because it's so crazy at the front as well. But, you know, all of these drivers here in the Pro Mazda putting on a show for us in the final race. You know, it's fantastic to see, and let's actually see, can we go and take a look at that replay, Dylan, of that pass that Ollie Peacock did? Because, you know, that, like you pointed out, not really your typical passing opportunity.
Well, be my guest to show the replay, because that takes some guts down here into, so this is into turn 6, and God, it's such a fast corner. It's something you will see a lot at Silverstone at the historic layout, and I think it's part of the issue of why so many drivers had issues passing at that layout. There's just not enough slow corners for the cars to get out of that dirty air and just leave it to some mechanical grip to pass anybody. Ollie Peacock, though, as long as you're at the front of the pack, well, you've got clean air, no dirty air to worry about, and swerving into turn 1, looks like Peacock will still hold the lead. Arjuna, what do you got?
Yeah, well, swerving like that's not really optimal, Dylan. It does break the draft, but it creates, you're traveling to travel a further distance to get to where you want to go, and guess what? John McCutcheon is now 2.2 seconds behind Ollie Peacock in first. He's got a heavy dose of draft from, the Carbon Racing duo in second and third, and I would not be surprised here, Dylan, within a matter of a few laps, John McCutcheon, the number 16 car, your pole position winner, is finagling his way back up towards the front, trying to contend for the race win once again.
Well, the issue here is that if McCutcheon he's right there. He is so close to getting into this draft wake, and if Peacock still swerves, which he is still doing the weave, a classic open-wheeled IndyCar move, then McCutcheon is going to be right back into the battle for P1 as Angus Waddle pulls to the left of Harley Lewis, and this is going to be an easy move down the inside of turn 10A into 10B. Now, if you go down the inside of 10A, you're going to get a worse exit off of 10B. It's going to give the guy who came out the outside a better exit, which can cause a bit of a switchback of positions. But nonetheless, it worked out for Waddle there. Currently sat in P2 with 6 remaining laps in the Pro Mazda Championship at Road Atlanta. Arjuna, this is getting testy. What do you think's going to happen? Will McCutcheon come back and possibly have a shot to win this thing?
He's in a very good opportunity. Obviously, when you get the pole position, even when it was only by... Oh, and there's Ollie Peacock going around into the wall. Your race... Look, God, the person who was leading the race out on the spot.
My word, Ollie Peacock is done, and that turn 5 corner, it can catch you out if you jump over the curbing, and we'll see the replay right here coming out of the S's, or this is into the S's. See that turn 5? It's coming up on the left. You jump over the curbs here. It unsettles the car, and man, you just see Peacock was trying to do whatever he could to keep that car on track, and the guy who's been dominating this entire race, he is done. It's up to Angus Waddle, Harley Lewis, and Josh McCutcheon, who was right there.
Yeah, well, that is heartbreak for Ollie Peacock. He was so disappointed to miss out on that Silverstone broadcast, and he was in the driver's seat, Dylan, going into these last 5 laps of the race. And what he's done is he's thrust the lead over into Angus Waddle's hands. Harley Lewis, Carbon Racing teammate, in second, and John McCutcheon about 1.6 seconds behind, so there is the possibility that we might have another photo finish to the line here.
Well, the other thing is that Ollie Peacock, who was just so fantastic through the entire race, could you wonder if all the swerving heated up the tires a little bit too much, and it might have took an effect on his grip levels when going through this turn 5? It's a quick corner, but you have to be careful to not take too much curb there, because if you jump over it, you're going to have to jump back over it, and it's going to unsettle the car the entire way.
Yeah, well, I think the bigger issue there, Dylan, really was just that turn 5 curb is notorious for being so tricky, not in an open wheel car, even just in a GT car, in a GT3 or a GTE. So when you take one of these open wheel cars, typically set up to be much more stiff than a prototype or an open wheeler, that can yeah, you know what I mean, Dylan. That can cause some issues. And Ollie Peacock, 19 laps, he was totally fine, and that 20th time around is what caught him out. So sometimes you just get a little bit unlucky, and Ollie Peacock not going to be very happy with how that one goes. But we come around here, Dylan. We've got this great battle for the lead. We've got the battle between Martin Alnerdis for a 4th. He's got Cameron Dance right behind him, and still this amazing trade continues. And there we go, Javier Horter and Russ Addy side by side. David Jarvis in the lead of this group in 6th place, but 3 wide down into turn 1. That's not going to work. Who's going to give up here?
Oh man, 3 wide and cutting out of it. There's a crash. There's a spinner. We'll try to see exactly who that was, but it's in the midfield. Oh man, who crashed out, my word, jumping over and now upside down. It's Andrea Cini, who sat third in the championship. You see him in the number 8 orange car. He tagged, I believe that was, trying to see exactly who that was. I couldn't quite see, possibly Horta or trying to see who has wing damage. But nonetheless, Arjuna, that's dangerous.
Yeah, and I'm just going to be completely honest here, Dylan. The initial incident, yeah, it's a racing incident. Now, Andrea Cini, unfortunate there to get involved, but this rejoin is not very good at all, and he takes out 2 or 3 cars, unfortunately, and, you know, such a shame in this final broadcast race to see that from such a decorated driver in the series. Not what he would have wanted either, but we've got 3 laps to go, Dylan. That battle's been broken up. The battle still rages, though, out front. It is Carbon Racing 1-2 still, and John McCutcheon, he's right on the rear wing of Harley Lewis. And I think it is going to be very interesting, Dylan. There's a lapped car in front as well.
Car.
That's going to be helpful to your leader.
It's going to be extremely helpful when it does come to the draft, but if he's unable to get around quickly, then that could aid the cars behind him. McCutcheon, he's right there. I'm rooting for the underdog here. We got to see the guy who spun out, or didn't spin out, but basically lost the entire car, come back and win this race. That would be a remarkable storyline right here. But we have 2.5 laps left to go. Waddle is getting a little bit of draft from that lapped car in front, trying to see exactly who that is. It's Jean-Michael Nguyen, currently 6 laps down, and Waddle, Lewis, McCutcheon, they're so close. We're coming to 2 laps to go here at the line.
Yeah, 2 laps to go, and you know, contrasting fortunes, Dylan. John McCutcheon, he got caught out by the turn, like the curbs in the S's almost. He lost it before he even got to turn number 5, able to collect it all, get back out on track, and, you know, battling for the race lead. But Ollie Peacock, you know, a little bit unlucky or getting onto the curb, into the wall, and, you know, unfortunate for him, part of that car is buried in that catch fencing right now. And so hopefully, like you say, John McCutcheon able to fight back here and keep this podium position.
Will he be able to get more than a podium position? We're coming into the 6-7 complex for the penultimate time here. Ollie Peacock made a daring move around 10 laps ago. Unfortunately, obviously, he is out of the race after that incident, which did leave part of his car in the fence. But look at this run that Harley Lewis is going to get on his Carbon Racing Angus Waddle teammate. If you call a teammate an Angus Waddle teammate, if that's the brand for him, we'll see. Waddle try to defend here, pulls all the way to the white line on the right. Lewis comes right behind on the gearbox. Again, will he make a move? No, he's respectful, but we're coming to 1 lap to go here, Arjuna. What's going to happen?
I don't think that was respectful there, Dylan. I think Harley Lewis playing some games there. He doesn't want to be in front coming around to lead to the white flag. He wants to have the opportunity to shoot past his teammate on that last straight. And here we go, last lap of the race. It's all down to this one. Can Angus Waddle win this last ever strength of field race for the Pro Mazda?
Out of turn 3, there's still single file. McCutcheon right on the gearbox of Harley Lewis. He lost a little bit of speed and time to Angus Waddle, who has to go through turn 5. Will he be able to do it comfortably? Oh man, he gets a little bit of dirt and grass, but so does everybody else. Into turn 6 for the final time. Who's going to have the most speed coming out of turn 7? It's a slow corner. This is where the overtake will happen. The draft, how strong will it be? Who gets the best jump coming out of the corner? We might see 3 wide going into the chicane, and if they do wreck, Martin Arnoldis is right behind them to maybe snatch a podium in this championship clinching event. Harley Lewis has to pull out to defend against McCutcheon. I think Angus Waddle has got it in the bag here. McCutcheon, Lewis side by side. Lewis goes down the inside of Waddle. They almost wreck, but they still hold position. Waddle stays in first place. He's coming to turn 12. He's going to win here at Road Atlanta. Harley Lewis keeps P12. McCutcheon P3 unbelievably. And Martin Arnoldis, he lost out to 4th place to Cameron Dance in the final chicane. But with the 5th place finish in the final strength of field race, Martin Arnoldis is your 2020 Season 2 final season of the Pro Mazda Championship champion.
Yeah, well, Martin secures his 2nd ever championship And, you know, big congratulations to him, not able to get a podium here in this final race, but, you know, 5th in what was a very strong field and a very eventful race still, and he's going to be happy with that. We see these final cars come across the line, and, you know, what a race we did get to see, Dylan. You know, Pro Mazda never disappoint from that first race all the way back in Mosport. That was 6 races ago, can you believe it? Coming all the way down to the wire here, and, you know, it's been an honor for us to join the show because it's always put on such entertaining fights for us.
And as I'm still watching, it looks like Lewis, Waddle, McCutcheon, joined by Cameron Dance and a lot of the other crew, they're going to do a little bit of a salute as they come around turn 7. A pretty cool sight to see. Both Carbon Racing teammates, man, that could have been really disastrous. Another teammate incident here in Pro Mazda as Lewis caught the tire of Watto, and look who just steams through the middle of them. Couldn't quite see who that was. I think that was, well, can't even quite see. That's Scott McIntyre. Oh, McIntyre just, he wants to feel like he's getting first place, but look at this. This is really cool. This salute. They're doing the Ali Peacock weave right now. Unfortunately, he can't take part unless he still remains in the race. And he actually is pulling out of the pits right now with a broken car, completely shattered suspension, and he'll take one more lap. He might show up at the back top of that picture right here, going down into the dip. But for the final ever post-race lap of a strength of field race in the Pro Mazda Championship, Angus Waddle will cross the line first, signifying his win. And look at that. Words just aren't enough.
Yeah, if you ever wanted to know how much this car means to these drivers, to this community, this is a good sign. You know, Angus Waddle's going to be thrilled with the fact that he took home the final race win in the, you know, these broadcasters, you know, main races, but very glad to see Martin Alnus get that race win. But let's jump over to Ollie Peacock now, Dylan, because wow, he's having some issues and this is entertaining to watch.
Well, he's going to try and join in the burnouts. Oh, man, he gets collected there. And, well, damaged rear wing, damaged suspension. He's still getting it done here. So great job to Peacock. Congratulations to all of the competitors here. We'll talk to a few of them in a bit. First, we'll have to talk about the final results from this final strength of field race. We'll get that up in a second as Angus Waddle is the winner here. A second ahead of Harley Lewis, and Josh McCutcheon gets the final podium spot. Cameron Dance, Martin Arnoldus, Severi Seppa, David Jarvis, Russ Addy, Scott McIntyre, and Bob Kern get into the top 10.
And then looking further back, you got Michel Prudhomme. He's in 11th, and Ann Medema, Javier Horter, Brendan Parker getting a very solid 14th, the last car on the lead lap. You got Pascal Filotto, Andrea Chini, Gabriel Perez, Ollie Peacock unfortunately down the order in 18th. You see him actually still doing some burnouts there at the back of the shot. Then you got Gabriel Montanez. And Carl Crowley will round out the top 20.
And going a few bit back, it's Jean-Michael Nguyen, Aldis Patelkis, and Fabio Berchhold finishing last, 23rd in this race. What a great showing from all of these drivers over the years. We're going to take a quick break before coming back with some post-race comments and discussions with some of the men who made this happen. Martin Arnoldus is your final ever Pro Mazda champion, and the winner is Angus Waddle at Road Atlanta. We'll be right back on RaceSpotTV.
North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, where the field is rolling out for the start of today's 400-lap race on this .625-mile racetrack. And just as the field comes all around turn number 4, the sunshine peeks through, helping warm things here. Bill Elliott leads him down. Benny Parsons on the outside. The green flag flies, and the first Union 400 Winston Cup race from North Wilkesboro is underway. Everybody nicely through turns number 1 and 2 as Bill Elliott has the lead, and Dale Earnhardt has jumped into second position, followed by Benny Parsons and Bobby Allison. So here we go. It's just about to go away. They both coming out of turn 4. Earnhardt gets the lead. We had just heard from our spotters that Neil Ryan. Dale Earnhardt is on his last lap. This will be his 24th career win. Dale Earnhardt wins the first Union 400 at North Wilkesboro.
What a fantastic race. What a way to end the final strength of field race in the Pro Mazda Championship. Angus Waddle is the winner. Martin Arnoldis is the champion. And we're going to talk to a whole host of drivers, have them tell us their story, what all of this means to them, their feelings. And Arjuna, it was just, it's been an emotional time for everyone, I'm sure. What are the emotions going through your head?
Yeah, well, obviously never really had the opportunity to compete in the Pro Mazda with some of these guys, but I've been fortunate enough to be in sim racing communities just like the Pro Mazda, where everyone is so welcoming and so just helpful to each other. And, I just were quickly talking to some of the guys who were going to have a few more words within a few minutes, and glad to be able to get them in here to just share some of the emotions and stories that they have from the 12-year history of this car.
Well, let's, how about we do that right now? Who are we feeling like talking to first? We have Brenton Parker, Cameron Dans, Harley Lewis, Martin Arnoldis. I'm just trying to think, who should we talk to first? I'm thinking we should talk to the champion first. I'm not sure about you, Arjuna.
Let's start with one of your podium finishers. Let's start with Harley Lewis, who finished in second.
We'll do that. Yeah, let's talk with the Canadian driver, Harley Lewis, who finishes second. Harley, congratulations. I'm sure you feel extremely excited and proud of that second place finish.
Yeah, second place is all right, but, it's always nice to win. I was trying to avoid what happened last week, so I didn't really push the fact a couple laps before, and then kind of lost my drive out of that last turn into the long straight. Carbon cars were running extremely low downforce this week just to avoid getting the draft launch, which seemed to work pretty well. Unfortunately, race before this one, car decided to drive through the back line. Wasn't ideal, but yeah, all in all, good race. Congrats to Angus.
So what was going through your mind in the last lap, the last chicane? You bumped tires with Angus over there for a second.
It was just a little love tap, nothing too special. I mean, it didn't end in tears, so it's all good. But I was watching John coming on the right there, and in the Oculus, I was kind of turned a little bit too much. Probably missed my braking point a bit. Maybe Angus went a little bit too slow. I guess we'll never know. But all that matters is we finished first and second.
Of course, of course. It would have been very bad if it ended up in tears right there, but it seemed it ended the same way the run into the chicane started. So when you saw Ollie Peacock have his mistake and go out of the race, did it kind of rejuvenate you into thinking that this win is within reach?
I kind of bet my team in Discord at the beginning that the front two drivers there would crash at some point. I mean, they're both really great drivers and really fast, but like history usually repeats itself. So one by one, they kind of made mistakes, and Angus and I just kind of rolled through. There's absolutely no point of getting into the mix up there because you could see, for sure on the broadcast, you guys could see something was going to happen eventually.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Harley. Anyone you want to, thank for this fantastic turn of, this fantastic round, this fantastic season and championship overall?
Thanks to the community. I mean, it's going to be sad to see it kind of get taken over. I don't know what the right word for it would be, but hopefully we could keep the same kind of culture in the forums and everything. Everyone's super friendly and respectful for the most part. Wouldn't mind saying thanks to, I'm just on the forum page here for the sponsors for these broadcasts that I see the names, Fabio Berchold, Carlos Medina, John Morgan, Erwin Vandenberg, Donald Poole, Pascal Filotto, and Jans Windler. Sorry, mate.
Well, congratulations once again. Thank you very much, Harley. Now, we're going to talk to Martin Arnoldus. We need to ask about the championship and what the champion is feeling right here. So let's wait for that. Arjuna, I'm not sure if you're talking to Martin right now or if he's coming in to the interview room. But I guess, Harley, if you're still here, what do you feel about racing with Martin? Or actually, we're going to pass it to Arjuna real quick. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no, we're going to bring in Martin Arnoldus now just for one or two questions about his championship win. And Martin, I think you were deep in conversation there with Brenton and Cameron. But yeah, obviously going to be emotional for you. You spend so much time, dedicated to this series, and you finally get that second championship win. How special does it feel for you here?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Some people say this is the game, but in every game, if you want to be the best, you need to practice anyway. Even if it's with darts or something else, snooker. If you want to be good, you need to practice, and it was really tough because you want to race more than 4 races, but the system says you need an advantage of 4 races. So, and after the Nordschleife, I was really hoping there for a good result, and it was just bad. So after that, it went well, like this race too, in the end. So I'm really happy with it. Really happy. It was hard working.
Yeah, well, obviously, you must have a lot of people to thank. And just before we bring in some of the other people to have a little bit of discussion, obviously, we want to just give you the chance to, thank everyone who's helped you to this championship. And obviously, not just the championship, but, obviously to keep this community so thriving and, it's such a pleasant and welcoming community, and I think part of that has to be you and everyone else who helps you.
In my opinion, it is, but you cannot ever make happy, of course. I try my best. I do it for fun. I like to make people happy. The broadcast brings something special with it, with the racing, and to make the series more attractive. So we try our best. A lot of people are helping the service with setups and tutorials, and I had to start in the Pro Mazda too, and all these guys helped me. So maybe I have the responsibility and loyalty to help new people too. So that's the way I want to act. And of course, I can be mad at the race or not, or in a personal message. But after 1 hour, 2 hours, it's gone, and we go moving on. It's not. I wanted to keep it in my head. Just have fun the next time.
Yeah, well, Dylan, I'm going to pass it back over to you. And at this time, we're obviously going to take the opportunity to introduce Brenton Parker and Cameron Dance into this discussion as well. And at this time, it's going to be a good time for Dylan just to have a little bit of a discussion about how this car has, changed some people's lives, because obviously in the real world, a lot of drivers in the Road to Indy ladder have had their career propelled forward as a result of their winnings. But also in the virtual world, we've had some of the biggest sim racing names actually win this championship before.
Yeah, well, thank you, Arjuna. And Martin, definitely want to know about how you feel this car has affected your life in many ways. When did you start racing in the Pro Mazda?
I think 2016, 17. Started with 0, and I did a lot of karting at home, and I knew I was not many talent, but I could drive fast, I knew. And I found out by Verstappen he was doing iRacing, so I googled that. And I thought, whoa, finally an online racing community where you can race normally with normal servers and serious business. What costs the F1 Codemasters is just, yeah, I don't want to say a weird word, but bullshit with the internet service and the quality. So I was really happy with it, and I like the community. I know Will Sutton helped me in the beginning, Thomas Jordan with his tutorials, Julian with his setups, and a lot of other guys helped me. So I started to race and know each other and try to get better and better and better and beat the best guys. So this season I did.
We were talking about it in the beginning of the season, or at least the broadcast season, that you were always finishing second. Well, this time you finished first, but for the second time.
Yeah, it's different. Angus is like other drivers, maybe drives for the win because it's a single race for them. But for Harley, me, or Jerome maybe, or someone else, it's just not only for the win, but also calculated. So maybe I could win Silverstone because I had the pace to do it, but I don't want to risk too many, so I backed off, and maybe Harley too. So it's different approach. It's a really different approach to fight for a championship. It's tough sometimes, but it's also fun. It gives some pressure, and I love to have pressure, but sometimes it's not fun to have pressure. So it's this mixed feelings. But always second. Yeah, I was a lot of time always second.
Hey, that's better than me. I'm always 10th, so
10th is also good.
or maybe a little farther down than that even. I'm like a good full second off of your pace there, Martin. Maybe a little more depending on the track.
I say a win is a win, eh? Doesn't matter how many cars there are. A win is a win.
Well, sometimes just surviving is the main goal, right?
Today it was.
Arjuna, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I want to thank everyone who joined the Pro Mazda. I want to thank everyone who likes the broadcast. I like to thank all the teams who was involved with it. So like the Votion team, Carbon team at the end. TNT Racing was there in the beginning with Mark Ursel. I want to still dedicate this series to Jerry V. Clark, who passed away in 2012. I read the story a few weeks ago. It was really heartbreaking. So I want to dedicate it also to him. Yeah, of course to you for all the great race spots. I used your clips for making clips, so I'm really thankful for that. The commentary is really good. I want to thank everyone who was involved, like Brenton, Thomas, Julian, VRS, Pure Driving School, everyone who has tried to help the series make a better place.
Well, really appreciate it from our broadcaster's standpoint, and obviously it's been a great time to watch this car kind of develop. Now, Brenton, Cameron, when did you guys start racing in the Pro Mazdas?
I started, I think it was 2016 season 2, right after they did like a major car overhaul, and it was actually immediately after the last and only car overhaul they've done since then. All the setups, if you go back to when I started, have been the same. They haven't changed the car since, so I've been here for the duration of the current version of this car. It's been a while, and probably, I don't know, 600 or more official races in that time. Enough that my wife probably wants to kill me for all the time I spend on here.
Of course. Well, Cameron, you're the Aussie here. Why do you like this car so much? What is it, 5 a.m.?
Actually New Zealand, but don't worry, I'll let you slip that on side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Arjuna.
Yeah, it's about 8, 9 a.m. here. So, but yeah, the car's a weird one. It's nothing like it on the surface. I mean, you've got the likes of the Formula 3, you've got the likes of the Formula Renault and all that sort of stuff, but this car just seems to have more of a traditional sort of open wheeler sort of feel to it where it's quite positive on the lift-off oversteer and then does be quite settled on the exits, which I do tend to like myself. So I sort of did gravitate towards it in my early iRacing career when I joined in 2015, and ever since I've really, really liked the car. So yeah, it's been such an awesome series to be part of.
Awesome. Well,
To
we
me,
loved.
it's got that very lively feel that a lot of cars lack. You know, you compare it to like the Renault 2.0, it's just like a brick. And the Mazda is just super lively, and you feel like you can just huck it into any of the corners, and it feels a lot more fun to drive than a lot of the other cars in the service. Not that many of them are bad, but just got that more, I don't know, just a more lively feel to it than most.
So, what are your guys' plans for next season? Are you going to race in the Indy Pro 2000?
Yep, the new Mazda. I've already volunteered to handle the scheduling and stuff, which is like the thankless task that nobody likes to do. So I'm going to keep on doing that. And I've really enjoyed the community in this car. That's what has kept me here for so long. Even when we really struggled with numbers, it's always had a good core group of guys, and I'm hoping that as many of them as possible will carry over to the new car. So I'm going. That's where I'm going until something makes me go elsewhere.
Well, love to hear that. I'm sure Martin has a lot of experience with what you're about to get into.
I will do the 24 hours of Le Mans in the HPD. So the next 3 weeks I will practice with that with my teammates. I will get a new kit on the block, so I can't be racing like this season. Of course, the baby will cry every time, and it's really annoying if you race. But I will stick in the community. I will do broadcast organization. I will do topics, information, weekly treats, try to help people on the new Discord server too. We get a new Discord server too to use. So hopefully we get a nice big community, and I will drive this car, of course.
Harley, what have you been doing? How long have you been doing Pro Mazda racing?
I don't know, 7 years. I just kind of found the car after the MX-5 series, and the community was really good and really fun car to drive, and I just never left, even though F3 came in, Formula Renault 2.0 came in at one point. Everyone kind of jumped around, and I just found myself back in the Pro Mazda again.
How has carbon racing in general, what's the general feel about Pro Mazda just not being a part of the official series anymore?
You know, change is good. The car that's about to get released looks really good. So we'll have a gander at that car. I usually update the car a couple times the first couple weeks, so any setups that you've done kind of get rendered useless. So just knowing that's coming, we're all pretty excited for it. Hopefully we can get more of the older carbon drivers back in, just because there's only 3 of us running around right now.
So just to end everything here, we'll start with Brenton. What has been your favorite race or a favorite moment of yours from Pro Mazda racing?
I've always enjoyed the Nordschleife races. We've done those like almost any season I can manage to squeeze it into the schedule. It seems to have like sort of a cult following amongst this group, which is strange because it's an American car. But those are always a lot of fun. And you know, you guys remember we did the Ava's race against cancer. That was one of my best memories of the series, because that was a bunch of people that I had no idea who most of them are in real life. You know, just guys that like to play video games and like to race. And we raised a bunch of money for a friend whose kid had cancer. And, you know, where else can you raise a bunch of money for somebody that for a good cause and have a lot of fun doing it at the same time? I thought that was pretty cool. So, and you guys broadcasted all of those when we did them. So, and we ran that at the Nürburgring as well. So, you know, the Nordschleife races, and as active as a community is for those, are always fun to race, and making a positive result out of that, you know, in real life as well, I thought was definitely a pretty cool thing. That's probably my number one, you know, takeaway in this series. That, and just how helpful everybody's been in general. You compare it to some of the other series where you're like, hey, does anyone have a setup? And it's just crickets. And here every week, you know, there's people helping and putting setups on the forum, and You know, and it's faster guys helping the other guys that will, you know, eventually come up and maybe beat them. You don't get that a lot in some of the series where everybody likes to keep everything so tight to their vest. And in this series, it's been really different in that regard. So that's what I've enjoyed the most about it.
Cam?
Oh, there's so many memories that I've got. I mean, a handful of them are probably ending up in the fence over frustration from how this car likes to do some funny things with the suspension. But yeah, I'm pretty much the same as Brenton. The Nürburgring always seems to have a place in my heart personally, and every time it pops up on the schedule, I'll always be there on track and giving it a red hot go. So yeah, it's been plenty of good memories, plenty of bad memories, but at the same time, mostly positive. So yeah, gonna be missing this car, but at the same time, what's on the horizon is really looking good for the community in the series.
Well, we love to hear that. Harley, what do you got? Harley?
Sorry, I missed the question.
He's asleep.
Oh man, are you watching any replays of some Maple Leafs hockey games? Are you excited to get back? That's not the question, but
Yeah, I was just over at Tim Hortons there with my polar bear. We were getting a couple of donuts to take to the Chesterfield there.
Okay, sorry about that, everything. But okay, what have some of your favorite races memories been like in the Pro Mazda?
There's been honestly so many. Like none of them stick out. Like obviously the Nordschleife one with like 7 laps or whatever, that just seemed super long. I know you guys do that for 24 hours on teams, but I mean 7 laps in that seemed pretty ridiculous in the Pro Mazda. Other than that, I mean, there's been so many good drivers have come through this class, like Justin Brunner, and it just goes on and on.
Awesome. Well, we'll talk with the final ever champion last, and Martin Arnoldus. Some great memories that you've had. Tell us what your favorites have been.
I agree on the Nordschleife. It can be that full, but I agree on that one. On broadcast, I pick one on broadcast this season because, like you said, many times seconds, or I won broadcast, but not in a final lap in one of the biggest SOF races, side by side into the last corners in one of the quickest guys I ever drove against. It's Angus at Canadian Tire Motorsports. That week was one of my best week, I think, in the series. Everything came together, everything went all right, and it just did it in the final lap, and I loved it. I screamed out on my microphone after the finish.
Awesome. Well, we love to hear that. And thank you guys for everything that you have meant to the Pro Mazda Championship over the years. And we really appreciate all the great action that you had. And yes, you, Brenton, in 14th.
Yeah, I might have had to pace to get a little bit farther up there if I hadn't have had so many mistakes. But it was a good race, fun to get on there for a change. I have kids, so I normally don't get a chance to do these broadcast races. It was fun to just be on there.
Well, awesome. Thank you guys all. Congratulations, Martin, and congrats to Angus Waddle, who won this race. Arjuna, that's it. That is all that is left. Any last words?
Now, it's been great alongside you, Dylan, to be here for the last 6 weeks of a 12-year chapter in Pro Mazda history for iRacing. A new chapter opens this coming Tuesday. Now, I'm excited to see what this great community is going to do with 2 new cars that are coming to the iRacing service. And, you know, maybe, just maybe, Dylan, we'll be back for some PM18 action in the future.
Well, maybe that's going to be in the cards. But for now, we say adieu to everybody who have been fans of the Pro Mazda Championship over the years. It's over. Martin Arnoldus is the final ever champion. I'm Dylan Coyle. Alongside me is Arjuna Kankipati. Thank you so much for tuning in with us, and so long.
To the outside because Arnoldus is going to hold that inside. We've seen John. Oh no, he's got the inside. It's on the crest there. Unbelievable. He's forced his way through. Still the fantastic work from John there.
And another quick start from Harley Lewis. Wow, Scott McIntyre is insanely quick off the line. The Canadian now already into the second position. Perez is through. Perez is through. Past Nayon here on the final lap. Brilliant pressure there by Gabriel Perez.
Jonathan Hernandez is going to have it. Tries to cut back. What a move on the exit of Rivage. Great jump there from Hernandez.
Oh, here's your Mark for the lead at Indianapolis. Straight pass on Ronnie Nunez. They're going to head towards Arnaud.
Who's going to win it? At the moment it looks like Don, but here we are. Asinio Kono towards the line. He cannot get it. Don wins the motor race.
Coming massive. Big crash in front of the leaders. Peacock slows down. And oh man, he was almost tagged.
But the move around the outside may be impossible. But anything's possible in this world as Amadema finds their way past.
And the two is out of gas. Andre Cini, I believe, and he has taken second place.
Are you kidding me?
Was that over aggressive downshift? Let's have a look. Oh, goodness.
Oh, look at that slide from Haag there.
He made some big contact there from Akbar Lotus.
In the third.
He's going to go to the outside. Hard. Got it.
And that's for P number 7. No wait, McIntyre with the crossover, in fact.
The battle for P4. Taylor and Montero. Oh, find him around the outside. Lena. Oh, John Leon may have made a mistake. He has. Fabio Ioki is through.
Making that move, stick. Saunders wide there. Saunders into the gravel.
To turn number 1, into the run towards turn 2 and 3 to 9, right back up the inside. Can they get it?
1 lap to go. The draft, it's going to come into play down the inside of Coates. Oh, they almost take each other out, but going way off track is Jarvis.
It's a friendly, helpful community, lots of setup options in the forums. It's the kind of series you want to join when you first come to iRacing.